Greetings YouTube, and today what I thought I'd do is try and repair this solenoid that we took off the little lawnmower. It is a sealed unit, as you can see here. There are rivets here holding it together. So I thought what I'll do is take it apart, see if it can be repaired. If it can't, it'll go straight in the bin. If it can, then I'll show you how it works, why it works, show you the repair, and we'll see how we go from there. If it works, then I've got one spare. If it doesn't, it's bin fodder. Right, I shall just get this set up in the vise, and we'll drill out these rivets and see what's inside. Okay, we'll get this set up. Not too tight, I'm going to break it. 5mm drill here. Just drill out the rivets. That's one. I think there's two. There's definitely three. Right. So we'll get this back on the bench and have a look, see what we've got. Okay, we're back on the bench, and we've got all the rivets drilled out. One's still hanging on a little bit. Let's see if we can get this off. Just get a screwdriver. So a little tiny screwdriver here. Just try and get this apart without breaking it. I don't seem to have drilled this one properly. Maybe I can just drill the last piece here. That's got it. That's the rivet. Let's see what we've got inside here. Alright. And we've got, well, there's a rubber seal there to keep the water out. Just here. Make sure that goes back on. And the cover. And then we've got an electromagnet here, which is attached via this spade connector. I think, should have a look. I shall get my soldering iron out, warm it up, and we'll remove this. Okay, the whole soldering iron's heated up. So just put this back in here for a moment, just to hold it upright. And we shall see if we can remove this solder with the soldering iron. It's on its hottest setting, so it should warm and melt this. Let's see if we've got any. Yeah, I'll just throw a bit of solder on it just to see if I can warm it up. See if that'll do it. Yeah, it seems to be. Seems to be doing it. Oops. Doesn't want to come out. There's a tiny little wire in there. Don't really want to break it. Let's see what we can do from here. Maybe this will do it. Huh. And that's got it. Put it out there, that'll be nice and hot. So, this is that's cooled down a little bit now. This is the electrical part of the solenoid, which basically is an electromagnet. This, on the bottom here, touches the case inside, which makes the ground for the case itself. Then this wire, the one sticking out of the top here, is the one we've just unsoldered from this thing, the spade terminal. And when the signal wire from the ignition switch energizes this, it creates a magnetic field inside here, which then in turn, see this rod here, this rod actually lives inside the electromagnet, and what it does is it pulls the rod that way, making contact with one copper strip on the two larger terminals. And that's basically how all solenoids work, or starter solenoids. So you've got the starter circuit here, which is high amps, a great deal of draw from the starter motor, and this is a small amount of draw to create the magnet, and that's what connects the two big terminals to make your motor start. And this one was clicking, so obviously this part of it is okay, it's moving something, but as it's clicking it's not doing anything here, so I can only assume that the terminals inside here are badly corroded. So the next thing to do is to take these bolts out, take these nuts off, and take these two bolts out. I'll get a spanner for these. Right, a 12mm spanner. That should come off. The bolt should actually come out. We hope. Get the other one out. Yeah, I think this one's coming out. Yep. Try not to break it, I suppose. My idea doesn't work anyway, so nothing ventured, nothing gained. And it is coming out. Ah, looks like that's what our problem is. There's a broken part inside. A broken bit. And by the look of it, it's been broken a long time. can see where it's turned green. The copper just disintegrated. It is coming out. It's a bit of fun to get out though. I think there's a rubber seal inside here which is stopping it coming out. There it is. That's the bolt, or one of them, and oh, I see, yeah, I think probably find that the other side is not broken. There's a washer, another one. Oh yes, that's broken as well with the look of it. Broken clean off. Or is that half of it? We'll see when we get it apart. We can take this off. A gentle bit of leverage. It would be useful to get this working again and have a spare. It doesn't want to come apart very easily though. Ideally, I suppose that's why they sealed it with 2 rivets. So you can't take it apart. Ah, there you go. Ah, there's that little rubber seal right on the end there. Unscrew that, it should fall out. Ah, it's broken anyway, so that's that. And then that comes straight out. No, it's not broken. It's the same both sides. It's just that the terminals where it hits are so badly corroded inside here that they weren't making contact. I think we can clean this up. And that's really badly corroded. That wouldn't have been making any contact whatsoever. So I think you can actually salvage this, so long as I can solder that little wire back into its hole there, which I think I can. I'll run a small drill through that and then it can, in fact that is supposed to be riveted on, so that may be a wise idea to flatten that down with a little punch so that this doesn't move. I'll put a small drill through there, like a 2mm drill, to allow the wire to go back up, and then we'll fill it with solder. I'll put some new O-rings in it at the top and find some little bolts to bolt it back together with instead of using the rivets. First of all, we'll clean it all up. Now, before going on, what I thought I'd do, I've got the solenoid here, and of course the little bar that gets pulled inward when it's energized. So I thought what I'd do is test it. I have got my little, well, it's a sort of power probe thing from CB. I'll just click the negative on there, and this, when I press this, will cause a positive current to run through this coil. This is the little energizer wire, and what should happen is when I energize that, this should be pulled inwards. Just hold on to it. See how that moved inwards? And that's exactly how it works with the power from the ignition switch. It pulls this inwards, which makes contact on these little bits, and they contact these on the edges here to make it work. I think I'll wire wheel these. I've got a bit of 120 grit paper here. I thought I'd clean these up just quickly. Alright. They should make a decent connection now. Right, that's one piece clean. Another one. Keep going until they're nice and clean. Yeah, that's pretty good. Got two of those. I shall go and clean these two things on the wire wheel, and we'll see if we can put it back together. Okay, so we know that the solenoid works there. These I put them on the wire wheel, cleaned them up a little bit, polished those with a bit of 100 grit, I think it was. Given this a quick clean, I think I'll probably do a bit more on that one, just to clean it up along these edges here, because that's the bit that makes contact. So I'll do that in a moment. Next thing I'm going to drill a hole through the centre of this. Got a little block of wood here and a 2mm drill. That's it. I've got a hole all the way through there, which is good. So now the wire can come up through that hole and I can solder it. And I'll probably give that a little bit of a clean as well inside there. It's a bit dirty. Bit of brake parts cleaner, probably do that. Also found some of my O-rings. See if I can get a match for the O-ring that was in it. No, they're good because they're green. Let's see. So I'm going to do it. Probably a bit loose. Anyway, I'll check for one of those. And I'm going to rivet this down. Put it in the vise. Put it on the vise, I should say. Squash that down. Put it on the vise and just give it a tap there with a punch, and that will hold it steady. And yeah, I'll just do this and we'll see how we go and put it back together. Okay, I've been through this and filed that down a little bit more with a file. Clean them off with a wire wheel, like I said. Got two new O-rings. Yes, I know what I meant to do. I'll just clean that up. Okay, just attack that with some brake parts cleaner. And just wipe it off. That is now fairly tight. It still moves a little bit. but there wasn't much of it left to squash down. So I think we're ready to put this little lot back together. And first, and then these two. And the screwdriver, just gently. Alright. I'll put the bolts in. 1, 2 bolts. I'll hold it in. Put my rubber rings on. Stop the water ingress. This will stop these falling out. We have 2 new washers. And 2 of the serrated washers. And then 2 nuts. 1. That's the second one. Clean that up. Tighten. Nice and tight. That's it. Not too tight because it will crack the ceramic, the plastic. And what happens is when that draws that out, makes contact with this and this, and hopefully we'll have a working solenoid. Next thing, a spring. That's what pushes the solenoid back. When that doesn't energize and that turns off, this spring pushes this back down so it no longer makes contact. So what we could do with now is some way of keeping that upright. We should just make sure that this wire is nice and straight. And see if we can put this in here and let that go, just to go into that hole. Yeah, like that. Yeah. Ah yes, and it's sticking out just a tad at the top there. So what I really need to do now is put a little clamp on there. Let's go forth and find a clamp. And 2 little clamps. So I should put on there. That'll hold it there. Let's just drop this on here. So it holds it upright. And we'll warm up the soldering iron again. I'll be back in a moment. Right, the soldering iron is nice and warm now. I'll just throw a bit of solder at it. And warm that up. Throw some solder in there. That's it. So that should be that. Just have to bolt it back together now. Turn the soldering iron off. And I have found some little bolts here. So I've got a couple. There's 1, 2, 3. I think I've got another one here somewhere. I shall look for that and we'll bolt it back together. Okay, got all the little bolts. Also got a 4mm drill. That was handy. One that ready. A 2mm drill just flew across the workshop. Right, we need to take this off. And that off. Be very careful with it, and it doesn't self-destruct. Okay, so keep that safe. Got my little block of wood. So just drill the holes out to 4mm. That one says 4mm. That one and that one. And that's all 4 done. See if this goes through. And it does. Excellent. Now take the clips off this because it's soldered, so that should hold it. Okay, first of all we put this little O-ring in. It's a little bit deformed, but I think it will go back in. It's been squashed over time by the look of it. Deformed a bit in first. I don't think that O-ring is going to go in there properly. It's pretty close though. I think I've got it. Right. And now, put this back on. Hold it down, hold it tight, and put the bolt in. Tighten this up. A couple in to start. Just to hold it closed. A washer. A little nut. If it goes wrong in the future, I'll be able to take it apart without drilling everything out. That's presuming it's going to work. Well, it has two choices. It can either work or not. Like I said before, it's there's not really anything to lose, because if it wasn't working, then it's broken and it's either bin fodder or a spare. And if it does work, very useful to have a spare. Pliers here, just grab that and tighten them all up, and I'll get set up so we can test it. Lovely. One more. Jab myself in the finger. To the last one. Just got it. Nice and tight, tight and nice. We have got one rebuilt solenoid, and I shall be back in a minute and give it a little bit of clear up here, and in a few seconds we'll try and test it. Okay, now what I've got my continuity meter here. I know it won't be under a huge load for these two to really test it, but I haven't got any other way. I haven't got a starter motor or anything to test it with at the moment. So we'll see, because we know, if you'd watched my previous video on the mower, we know it was clicking, but it wasn't making any contact here. Just test this just to make sure. Yeah, and that is beeping. I don't know if you can see that. I should think you can. Yeah, that's beeping quite nicely. I'll clip those together, and I've got my trusty little gadget here again. I'll clip this onto the negative, or the actual body of the thing. Hold this on here. Oh, that's a good sign, there's continuity. Now when I press this and give it a positive charge, there should be continuity here. And you can hear it click as well. There's a bit of an annoying beep on this, but you can actually hear it click. And the continuity is there. So it is now a functioning solenoid. I hope you found this video interesting. If you did, please like and subscribe, and we'll see if I can find any more projects like this one and save things from the bin. Thank you very much for watching. See you next time.